So before we kick off the questions, any new members who just want to unmute themselves and say hello? Rakesh, are you a new member?
I am, yes. Thank you for allowing me to join your group. After my initial discussion with Kevin, I was pretty reluctant, actually. Kevin will acknowledge, but having done a bit more research, acknowledge that there isn't that much information out there, really, is there? In terms of these conditions, it's really difficult to talk to anybody that's experienced the same. Hence me joining this forum. So I'm hoping I'm going to find it helpful, but as Kevin has said, equally positive, because that's the frame of mind that I want to be in. So thank you, and thank you for allowing me to join your group.
Welcome, Rakesh, and I think you've got a question as well, which hopefully we'll come back to.
Yeah.
Just checking to see if there are other new members on the group that want to say hello. Is that Ali? Hi, Ali. You're a new member. Do you want to unmute yourself and just say hi?
Hello. I don't know. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. Sorry about the baby noise. I'm Ali. This is Rory. He doesn't have a balance condition as far as I know. I also have a 3-year-old as well. Yes, been feeling very alone since being diagnosed initially with BPPD now a year and a half ago. So good to find that there's a group out there. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Ali. And hopefully you will find some help and support with the group in lots of different ways. So is there any more? Are there any more that I am missing out on? If not, we will get on with the questions. I think that's it.
Could I introduce myself? Can you hear me?
Of course, yes.
I'm Louise.
Go for it, Anna.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Louise. To echo what the other 2 new members have said, is that I was diagnosed with vestibular neuronitis in 2019. I basically came home and I had the flu, and then never went back to my flat because it had damaged the nerve. And yeah, there's just not a lot of information out there. It feels like there's a lot of guesswork, and it's really frustrating having to explain it to everyone sort of all the time, trying to understand what I'm going through. So I'm really glad that I found a group of people that have the same, and I'm really looking forward to hearing about everyone else's experiences and what they've learned.
Well, welcome, Anna, and thank you for joining us. Francis.
Hi,
Francis.
I'm Francis, but I'm known by Fran. I don't know why it's put Francis on there for me. I was diagnosed with Menieres disease last summer, but I'm still going through all the process of actually making sure it is Menieres and not something else. So I don't really know what's going on at the minute. All sorts of symptoms keep popping up, and I'm loving the fact that there's so many people here that obviously understand what we're all going through. So it's lovely that I'm now part of this group.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Fran, welcome. Nadine. Hi, Nadine.
Hi there. I have been a member for a little while, but I've not joined in on any of the meetings. I've been dizzy, rocking, bobbing, pressure headaches now for over 5 years. I was diagnosed with vestibular migraines and PPPD and aspects of Maldie-Department syndrome. I don't know if I've got any of them, all of them. Everything's under the same umbrella. Never got really much help from my doctors. They don't understand. The ear, nose and throat hospital just wanted to put me on strong medications, which didn't agree with me. And I've just gone through sort of 5 years of ups and downs. I've had times when I've been really low level and it's been fine, and then lots of relapses. At the moment, I'm in a relapse, so the dizziness and head pressure is really bad. I've had 16 solid days of head pressure at the moment, and I've just broken the cycle with naproxen, so hoping it will break the cycle. It's a bit of my story. I developed it out of the blue while on holiday in Mexico. Just woke up one day feeling dizzy.
I think a lot of people will, relate to that in some shape or form, Nadine, and hopefully we can all come back to each other's
Sorry,
stories.
me as well, sorry.
Who's me? Where are we?
Naomi. I'm not on the
Naomi.
screen. Yeah. Yeah, I've just joined as well. Vestibular migraines probable at the minute. 2 years. Started propranolol recently, so it's doing something, but I'm not sure. Yeah, that's it. I'm not really good on the camera, sorry, so I've just hid myself.
That's fine, Naomi. Don't
Maybe
worry.
next time I'll show my face. But yeah, hi everyone. Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much to everyone for introducing yourselves, and these got, hopefully everyone will make you really, really welcome. We're going to crack on with the questions because there's loads, and this is about you today and purely about your advice and your experiences. So Rakesh, did you want to ask your question first?
Yes, I'm happy to. So a bit of context, really. So, like some of you, this is all relatively new to me. My GP has virtually no idea of the condition, and the condition I've got is, I think it's called vestibulopathy with visual preference. And I've Googled that many times, and apart from huge numbers of academic articles, there isn't that much out there actually. Anyway, what the question I've got is around the impact that condition has on your eyesight. I've been struggling at work using 2 monitors because it causes huge amounts of eye strain and actually compounds the dizziness as well. So rather than use a laptop, I've asked my work to set up two monitors to think that's going to make a difference, but it really hasn't. So I've got 2 monitors. I've now asked my workplace to add some blue light filters, which they have done, which haven't really made a difference. So I was just wondering whether someone has faced that kind of photosensitivity issue with monitors and screens, and what practical things they have done to alleviate some of the symptoms, particularly around tiredness and photosensitivity. And I don't know whether the condition that I've got results in increased sensitivity with the eyes, or whether that's something else. I just don't know.
All right, Rakesh. So, anyone would like to kind of jump in with some suggestions for Rakesh? I think I might have 1 or 2 for you as well. But you just stick your hand up, please, because there's lots of you on the screen, and then kind of jump in if I can't see you. Any advice, especially with regards to screens, Mary? Do you want to unmute yourself, Mary? Mary's just about to unmute herself, hopefully. Have a think if you've got any advice for Rakesh as well.
Well, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yep. Well, I recently started exercises in connection with my eyes, and it does seem to have helped a bit. What I do is I use a hoop, and I lift the hoop up and I focus my eyes on the center of the hoop and then down again. So it's like a rehab vestibular exercises, which I hadn't been using. And I think that does make a slight difference. Because, and then I turn my hoop to the side and it actually exercises my eyes. And that's the only thing I can think of for my PPPD.
All right. Mary, thank you for that. Richard?
Hi, yeah. Trina's with me, but straight away said that she would find 2 screens and moving the head between the 2 screens would actually aggravate the effects. So I wonder actually if the step of trying that has actually added to the situation. So I wonder if a single large monitor might be better than 2 separate ones, so that you're not moving between the 2. So that's just a thought we've had here.
Yeah, thank you.
Rakesh, if there's, please put your hand up because I can't see everybody on the screen. Otherwise, but Rakesh, I also have vestibulopathy with visual preference. It's a huge mouthful, and you're right. There's not a great deal on the internet or you know, lots of places to find. And there seems to be, from my understanding, or certainly my research, there's been, you know, it's been given lots of different names elsewhere, depending on where you go around, not only the country, but around the world. So, you know, supermarket vertigo is a really nice name for it as well. Somebody recently suggested to me that actually it means nothing. Vestibulopathy with visual preference means nothing. And it's just another word for dizziness. So it kind of, yeah, I know Michaela's looking at me going, really? It's true. I was questioned about the validity of the actual name in very recent times. I work with 5 screens at work, and I didn't do that for a very, very long time. My second bout of it, I had 5 screens. I work in a radio studio, and it was horrendous. Absolutely horrendous with 5 different screens. The exercises have worked for me, definitely. If you look behind me, you can see this wonderful screen, and I apologise, I didn't think this through beforehand, that this might actually affect some people, so my sincere apologies if it does. But being in a place like this with the patterns here, for me, has been hideous. This is taken some doing and practice, but as far as the screens are concerned, the exercises, blue screen, blue lights on my glasses have made a huge difference from my point of view. So Rakesh, I hope that helps. Is there anybody else?
Yeah, Amy and Nadine. Yeah, go ahead.
For it, Amy.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
I have problems with screens as well. The things that have helped me are I've got a program called Flux on my computer. I think it's f.lux, and it puts a red light filter across your whole screen. It's free, and you can change how deep the red is. And I think lots of people use it in the evening. You can set it so it comes on when the sun goes down. I have it on all the time, and I just have it getting stronger and stronger as through the day. So by the time it's nighttime, it's very red, and that's a blue light filter that's free. I also have glasses. They're called FL41 lenses, if you've heard of them. They're usually done in America. The migraine lenses, they block out a specific frequency of blue light that's supposed to be particularly aggravating for migraines. And they're very pink, so I don't normally wear them during the day unless screens are really setting me off, but I wear them in the evening if I'm watching telly or using the computer. So they're good as well. And the only other practical thing I can think of is I tend to minimize things on my screen so that I don't have to scroll as much, and if I have to watch a video, I usually watch it small so then my eyes don't have to move around as much on the screen.
I think there was somebody else as well. Thank you for that, Amy. If you don't mind, can you put those? I know Kevin's managed to put one of the links on the chat box, but if you could find a link for us, Amy, and put that in the chat box, that would be wonderful. And people can save that. You can save the chat box at the end for any information in case you're not able to write it down. Was there anybody else that had a bit of advice? One last suggestion from anyone?
Me, sorry, it's Naomi.
Naomi,
I'd got my laptop changed to the old school because of the backlighting, so looked into LED backlighting instead, so old school backlighting. Also ask your workplace perhaps if you could use like a screen projector, so like I work in school, so because the lighting's therefore different. Also wearing like sunglasses, or asking for an office space in which you're not under the direct light. So if you need to work in darkness, if there's an office space for you to work in that is darker or darker lit would help. And also maybe a corner of the office which isn't so noisy and less movement from the side bits and everything else, because all of that adds. So by the time you get to 12 o'clock, your mind and your eyes are exhausted. So it's about maybe, if you can, prolonging that point. So by the time you get to 5 o'clock, you actually make it to 5 o'clock without it all being disastrous. So sometimes the screen itself you can't do that much, just the bits that everyone said, which are great, but it is about on your way to work, making sure that maybe you haven't got that much exposure to the light. If you're working with like high fluorescent lights in workplace, or else, and if you're in an area that's too noisy or you need different backlighting. So yeah, all those kind of bits help with smells and everything else. I know you're talking about specifically about the eyes, but sometimes we have to work with all the other bits around us to help minimize the other symptoms, because you can't directly just stop that one symptom, if that makes any sense. Sorry, I talk very fast, I know.
No, great. Rupal, if I just add, there's all these things to try, Rakesh, but one of the things, it's not really a solution, but it's a great approach, is do remind yourself you are grappling with an issue, with a condition. So especially we as guys, we like to think we're invincible and we carry on as normal. It's kind of, you've got to accept some days you're going to have to work at a slower pace and you can't put the hours of screen time in that you used to. And that's not a bad thing. It's just being realistic to say you might have spent 8-9 hours on a screen every day. That may not be a good thing some days. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just coming to terms with, at the moment, it's really hard work. And actually work-wise, you're not helping yourself or anyone else if you overdo it and end up feeling really bad and get very, very fatigued. So I would almost suggest, if you can, more about, you should do this anyway work-wise, is have plenty of breaks. You know, and again, you know, what we're told, well, stand up and walk around. That's not so easy for us, but try and have breaks from using that screen. So try all these different things, but don't be too hard on yourself, expecting to work as normal.
I hope that's, lots of great advice there, Rakesh, and hopefully that'll, well, it's certainly given me some food for thought as well. I hope that's all right with you, Rakesh. Catherine has a question. Is Catherine here? Catherine, did you want to ask your own question? Or do you want me to ask your question for you?
Which Catherine? Okay,
there's more than one Catherine. This is a question about shopping. Was that you?
Yeah, that's my question.
Yeah. Do you want to ask it yourself?
Okay, I guess so. Hi, everybody. It's great to see everybody. And I love what Kevin just said, because I think that was my problem. I think I'm normal because I'm doing so much better, and then I overdo it. And I just put on these blocking blue light glasses. But my question was, I find that it's very hard to go into shoe warehouse, supermarket, mall, places like that. I have to leave after 20 minutes or 30 minutes because I get very nauseous, and then my shoulders tighten. It goes right up my neck, and then I don't feel well. And depending on how much I might have pushed myself too much or not realized that I was timing out, it could even last more than a day or two. So if anybody had any tips about dealing with that kind of visual preference situation.
Anybody got advice? Put your hand up for shopping tips as far as Catherine is concerned. Norma. I think Norma's got a question, an answer. Is Norma talking to us, or is she talking to somebody else? Norma, you're on mute.
I'm mute. I'm off mute now. Is that better? Yeah. Yeah, I have got a question as well. But in terms of the shopping, what I find is, even if I don't need a trolley, I use a trolley because the trolley actually helps stabilize me. And that does make a big difference when I'm in a supermarket.
And Catherine, I when I first got it, and it's really bad on days when it's really, really bad. At the very beginning, it was sunglasses all the way, and I don't care if people laugh at me or if they think I'm a diva or anything else. Sunglasses and using the shopping trolley to lean on makes a huge difference from my point of view.
Quick tip from myself, Rupert, because most of us get this visual preference when the balance system's not working properly. Supermarkets were a given that as soon as I walked in. What I found, the visual preference is this overload of lots of information coming in. I actually found the trolley was my prop, but trying to restrict the vision. So instead of wandering about and looking everywhere, focus more on a specific point along the shelves. Obviously look where you're going, but try not to, again, don't be the normal before a balance cut where you could look everywhere. So that is guaranteed to throw you if you're moving and looking around. So almost try and limit where you're focused, and you'll find it's less dramatic. The only good news, if it is good news, and I guess, Barufa, you might say the same, the longer you live with this, the more you seem not necessarily to stop it, but it becomes less and less worrying, because you know what it is. It's really annoying, and especially if you get the nausea, but you kind of go, yeah, I know what this is, I hate it, but try and focus on a narrower vision rather than take everything in.
Yeah, and hopefully, Catherine, it will get easier. Is it Ronan? Is your hand up, Ronan?
Yeah, that's right, Ronan. Yeah, Kevin said a lot of it there for me. Just two little things that I've learned along the way in supermarkets, because when I am walking and I tilt my head towards the ground, I can start feeling dizzy. So when I'm in a supermarket, when I'm looking at prices and so on the lower shelves, I tilt my head to the side and then look down, and I don't feel the dizziness. The other thing Kevin mentioned is turning all these corners you have to in the supermarket. And what I've learned to do is I close one eye and I'm at a corner, and it works a lot better. Just a few little tips from my experience. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Ronan. That's really, really helpful. Is there anybody else that has got any more advice? If I'm missing you, I apologise. I'm trying to scroll through these quickly. No? But hopefully, Catherine, I think...
Anna's got a hand up.
Oh, Anna. Sorry, Anna. Go for it, Anna.
No, that's all right. I mean, I'm coming from a point of view, I try and avoid supermarkets as much as possible. But I have recently started going with someone. And the advice that everyone's been given about limiting what you can see has really helped me. I think it's also important to remember that everything in a supermarket is designed to catch your attention. Yes. It's all about, marketing, but buying certain brands over different ones, and that's just extremely exhausting. I use the term sort of visual noise when there's lots of things around. So I'd always have like a clear desk, or just try and limit exactly what I go to. I'd also like build up little steps. I'd try and go to the supermarket at a time is going to be quiet, where there are fewer people around. And if you can make a list, if you know exactly what you need, then you can limit your time in the supermarket, and just go to those things and not, get distracted by the special offers or anything like that. I mean, there have been times where I've just had to leave partway through because I just couldn't be there anymore. I've even found going to self-checkouts more helpful than going to a checkout where I'm interacting with someone, because that's again sort of more sensory input. And my final thing would be to go to the same supermarket every time. I don't know if you're someone that will often go to different places for different things. But if you can go to the same one, then it comes off the back of what Kevin was saying, like you get used to seeing the same sort of things. The things are mostly in the same place, and it's just sort of like building up your tolerance level for it. I found that to be helpful.
That's some really, really, really good advice. Catherine, did you want to come back? Did you? I think. No? Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much. Norma, I know Norma has a question. Did you want to ask it yourself, Norma?
Well, I had one question. It was a long and a short version. I don't know which one you prefer.
Go with the short version.
Okay. Well, basically, I've got Menieres disease, and I was diagnosed over 40 years ago with it, so I've lived with it for an awful long time. Had 19 wonderful years of remission, and then it came back with a bang in my 40s. So I'm sort of back to square one, if you like. And I think the thing is, in between attacks, I'm a fairly confident person and fairly outgoing, but following attacks, it does tend to make me shy away from going out on my own. I think I worry about having an attack whilst I'm away from home, and how would I cope if I were on my own? Because I've been lucky, most of my attacks have been at home, and I even find myself reluctant to organise any social events with friends, or even if I do and I wake up that day and I feel a little bit, well, I'm not 100% today, and I end up cancelling because I'm frightened of having an attack when I'm out of the house. And just wonders how other people cope with that anxiety about being ill when they're outdoors, or being dizzy or whatever when they're away from home?
Great question. Ali. Ali, yep.
Again, apologies for the child noise in the background. I not in exactly the same position, but have the same anxiety about what I've been told is BPPV, but I think is more complex. And although, sorry, it's noisy. Although I haven't got an answer. I've got a bit of solidarity, and also I have been seeing a therapist, which I've had to pay for privately, for my anxiety, which has been diagnosed as an anxiety disorder, but I'm sure is cyclical and feeds in and out with my BPPV/PP, the other thing. And it has really helped talking to somebody. I know it's an expensive thing, and we may already be paying for private treatment if we can't get what we need on the NHS in my case, but it has been invaluable to me. So that's the only thing I can say.
Thank you, Ali. Anybody else with some advice on mixing socially? Debbie, you need to unmute yourself, please. Thanks.
Sorry. Okay, unmuted. I was going to say, yes, I've had incredible anxiety around it, and I understand Norma with making plans to go out, you sort of cancel, but a lot of my friends now are very aware, so I don't feel so bad now cancelling, but also the anxiety, I forgot the other lady's name. Yes, it got muddled up with GP telling me, oh, this is all anxiety based, and then it's PPV. Now, I actually got prescribed clonazepam, which is by the neuro-otologist, to help with the anxiety. And I found that has helped me greatly, because knowing I have those tablets to help with the anxiety, and if I take half, actually calms the anxiety down. Yeah. So
actually, yes, thank you for that. Yeah. You've reminded me something that because like I say, I've had periods of remission and then it's come back again, and you've reminded me actually of something I used to do previously, prior to remission, which was I used to carry you know, those rescue remedy capsules, pastels you can buy. So I think I'll get some more of those, because I found last time round they were really very helpful. So thank you for sort of prompting me on that.
Thank you. Julie.
Yeah, totally sympathise with where you're coming from, Norma. I've had Menieres vestibular migraine for about 13 years, again, off and on. So yes, every time you have an attack, you can go to a very dark place and think, you know, I can't go out to the front door, my life has ended, and that sort of thing. But then I find that gradually as the days go on, then you recover and you go back to normal, because you've got to, because what do you do if you don't? You know, it's a deep hole to start going into. I mean, I found people very helpful. So if you are out, I think sometimes preparation, I mean, work were very good to me. They prepared for if I had an attack when I was at work, what they would do to try and get me home. I enjoy walking, and of course, walking out in the countryside, doing a 6-7 mile walk, you think, oh, what happens if I have an attack? You know, how am I going to get home? And that sort of thing. So I put, you know, local taxi firms in my phone, so that if I was stuck somewhere, you know, I knew I could get help. I mean, I still was a bit anxious about having been in that situation, but at least I had a get out, you know, someone could maybe come and rescue me. I travelled around for ages with a bowl and a blanket and a cushion in my car, so that if something happened, you know, I was prepared, and if I could get to my car, I knew I would be all right. I tend now to carry around, you know, like a little purse that's got some anti-sickness tablets in. I brought some sick bags online, put in this little purse and that sort of thing. So just being prepared so that you know that if something happens, you can do something. And I think the thing to bear in mind is it's often worse for other people. The people that are seeing you have an attack, they get distressed, they're on the point of causing the ambulance, and you just, you know what you're doing, you know what you want, you know what you've got to do. So yeah, that's always a good thing to bear in mind as well. You're okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Others that you're okay, that's the problem.
Yeah, thank
All right.
you.
I've got one little suggestion.
Janet, go for it.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been diagnosed with PPPD and PPPD. Started over 2 years ago. I still question both diagnoses, though I'm not sure that they're right. When it first started over a couple of years ago, I went to the hairdressers and was so bad I couldn't get home. So, and they called an ambulance and I was hospitalised because of it. Ever since then, I've had a fear of going to the hairdressers. So because I think it was tilting my head back over the basin that brought it on. So ever since then, I've just had a hairdresser who comes round to my flat, and he's lovely. And I missed a bit, the novelty of going to the hairdressers at first, but then I've got used to it now, and I actually much prefer it because I wash my hair before he comes, and he just does it. So that's just one little tip. Your hair looks lovely. So I can imagine you've spent a lot of time with the hair.
No, honestly.
Thank you. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you.
Ronan, is that a hands up on your screen still from earlier, or is that to respond to Norma's question?
Need to unmute, Ronan. Unmute.
Give him a sec. Give him a second.
There he goes.
There we go, Ronan.
That's my hand up. It's a mistake. Excuse me.
No problem.
Amy, I'll just add on this same subject. If any of you using WhatsApp, top tip is to form a group on WhatsApp, call it help, and just add in friends and family who you can rely on. If you're out anywhere and anything happens, you just message, but try and keep that group just for that purpose. And everyone in the group would get the message, and all you ask them to do is reply via WhatsApp so everyone else can see if somebody's coming to your aid, to your assistance.
That wouldn't work for me, Kevin, because I wouldn't be able to see the screen.
Yeah, no, it's fair. It's fair enough. And my only other comment about, you asked what do you do about socially, is psychologically, remember this is an illness. You're not on drugs, you're not drunk, you're not embarrassing anyone, so don't feel embarrassed. And that way you're less likely to restrict your life and self-imprison yourself. And I know it's difficult to say I've been through it, and I had all sorts of issues, especially work-wise. Could I go to meetings and face falling over in front of people? So it's not that easy, but where you can, just keep telling yourself, this is something you can't control, nothing to be ashamed of. And the other bit, just general life advice here, don't worry about what anyone else is thinking. What does it matter? When has that ever helped you, that reading someone else's mind and they've had great thoughts about you, you never know it. So don't worry about, if anyone who doesn't know you walks by and thinks, oh, there's someone who's drunk too much, tough, that's their problem. So just be brave, be bold as you can, and live your life as much as you can. We only get the one go.
That's very true. Thank you. Very, very quickly, there's something very positive I've discovered this week that might be helpful for other people, actually, because I used to do a lot of country walking, but my balance is absolutely dreadful on uneven ground. And my daughter bought me some walking poles, and the difference it has made when you go out walking is incredible. So I don't know if anyone else has tried them.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Norma.
I've got a couple of things if there's time.
Go for it, Amy. Go on.
With I can't see the screen as well. My eyes roll when I have vertigo. So if you have someone set up on speed dial or with like OK Google voice commands, I had like a code where I'd depending on like with my partner at work, if I let it ring 3 times and then hang up, that would be the code for I need help, or similar things like that. And I have a card from the Menieres Society that says it's like La Menieres, so you can give that to strangers if you need to. But my other thing is I don't go anywhere without a few kind of sensory things. So if sometimes I get depending on whether the attack's coming from the Menieres or the vestibular migraine side, I get kind of like an edge. I can feel that something's coming on. So then I've got my FL41 glasses to reduce the light stimulation. I've got musicians earplugs to cut down on noise. I've also got, they're called flare earplugs, because I don't like having, with the musicians earplugs in my ears, creating a vacuum. It makes my tinnitus worse for some reason. So they're good if there's no, I really need it. But otherwise, flare do these. They're like hollow earbuds, and because of the shape of them, it cuts down on a lot of the sound coming in, so sounds aren't quite as sharp. Because when I get like high-pitched sounds or kind of sharp sounds, if that makes sense, often hurt me, and it just takes the edge off sounds. They're not anywhere near as good as proper musicians earplugs, which I also have. I got those fitted properly but for me by the audiologist, but yeah, they're just good at taking the edge off. And sometimes if I can feel that coming on, I get the glasses on, I put the flare things in, and it just kind of deadens down everything a little bit to give me time to get to somewhere. And at the last resort, we've got an old wheelchair in the back of the car if my other half needs to cart me off somewhere.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Richard, Richard, you've been patiently waiting.
Yeah, I mean, first up, just to echo that thing about walking poles, I mean, they've been great for Trina, and the proper walking poles, so you're upright, not the walking stick. Definitely the walking poles have worked well. And I think, as Kevin just said, we were going through the middle of rugby, and Trina had got the walking poles, and that was like the first time she'd been able to go out for a long time. This was last. Yeah, somebody walked past and just looked at Trina and went nutter, because she was in a town centre with walking poles. I think, as Kevin said, you just got to ignore that, and you get jokes about there's no snow around and stuff like that, and just that's their problem, not yours. And I think, to echo that as well, I think in terms of the socialising bit, over a couple of years, it's the realisation some friends don't get it and are never going to get it, and you'll find people who do get it, and also people who understand. Perhaps in the past you stay for 3 hours, and you might just stay for an hour because that's enough for you. And it's just slightly just working what's best for you and going by that. And the people who don't get it, I'm afraid, don't worry about them, as Kevin said. I think that's really important.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you, Norma. Do we have Janet on the meeting today? And does Janet want to ask her question? No? Yes? No? Can't see Janet. Janet? Oh, Janet is there. Janet, your question about physiotherapy exercises, is that right?
Yes, I'll ask it again. I've been struggling with PPPD and PPPD really badly for over a couple of years. And at the beginning and more recently, I was prescribed physiotherapy exercises, but I found that both times it actually made it much worse. One of them did say at one time that can be due to over prescribing. And I think that they, what physiotherapists are like, they're really enthusiastic, and they're really quite young and really sporty. And they think of exercise as being really full on. It might have just been that, but I'm still not sure, because I've actually had to give up on exercises now, because they were definitely making it much worse and bringing it on worse, definitely. So I'm wondering whether anybody else has found this.
We're talking about vestibular exercises here, Janet, yes?
Yes, I don't really have visual problems particularly. Okay. Yeah.
And just to kind of get an idea of how long you actually tried some of the exercises for before you've, before you thought, actually, I'm not going to do this anymore because it's
at the beginning, I had to give up straight away because it was actually much worse at the beginning, and it actually made it completely intolerable, the whole thing. And even the physiotherapist said, don't do any more, just don't do any more.
Okay.
Then more recently, I've been given exercise to do over about 7 months. And at first it seemed to be helping a little bit. But then even after just a few weeks, it was definitely gradually getting worse. And then one day, just a day after I'd seen the physiotherapist, it really came on really, really badly. One morning I woke up and it came on really badly. And I put it down to the exercises. And this might sound a bit strange, but what I've been trying to do recently, I've given up on the exercises, and I'm only just realizing this, that I think I'm trying to deliberately mentally control my movements just as I'm walking around. Every sort of movement I make, I think I'm consciously trying to be a bit more accurate and not be so wobbly, and just trying to sort of normalize myself. And I think that might actually be working.
Okay, interesting. Janet, thank you for your question. I'm going to try and leave Michaela till the end if she might want to respond to this as a vestibular physiotherapist.
I'm sorry.
No. You know, I mean, it's interesting. But anyone got any thoughts on Janet's question? Ali, I think. Yeah, Ali, go for it.
I am not qualified to talk about it. I see a wonderful vestibular physiotherapist, and certainly after I've seen her, I always feel reassured. For me, I don't know if you hinted at this earlier, Janet, the in between periods of seeing someone. Sometimes you said you weren't really convinced on your diagnosis. That's the anxiety. That's the anxiety I face a lot of the time. I feel better for periods of time, and then I have different symptoms or a repeat of some more severe symptoms. Sorry, my dogs are going to bark now as well, just to add to the noise in the background. I might come back to me.
Ronan, is your hand up to answer this one as well? Just double checking, Ronan. That's all. I'll come back to Ronan possibly. He's looking for the mute.
Anna's hand is up. Here we
go. Yes, Anna. I know.
Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I was very interested in that last question because I've been doing exercise rehabilitation exercises with a physiotherapist for the past 3.5 months, and after about a month, I felt I was definitely getting worse. But I persisted on the basis that sometimes it does get worse before it gets better. And I think what was happening was some of the exercises I was using muscles in my legs that I hadn't used before. And I was feeling wobbly when I went out for walks, and that translated into dizziness and all that. So I persisted, and I was saying now after 3.5 months, I'm 40 to 50% better than I was before I started. Thanks.
Thank you, Ronan. Anna.
So I've been seeing a physiotherapist. I started seeing a physiotherapist after I had my vestibular neuronitis for a year, and he's been great. He actually said that someone my age, he would have thought to have seen me within like 6 months of my condition, and I wish I had seen him earlier. But the exercises that we do, I mean, it's a bit strange. So the point of them is to make me feel worse, because what I need to do is increase my tolerance. And some of them feel sort of very basic, and I've been doing them every day ever since. And it's just like nodding my head, shaking it left to right, standing on a pillow, playing with a balloon, which some of them just sound very strange. But it really didn't feel like it was doing anything at the start. But I think it's like really tiny sort of incremental changes have helped me. So I think I don't know how it is for your condition, but certainly the persistence being persistent with it and staying consistent with it, I'd say has helped me, because what I can do now is way more than I could have done before. And there are periods where I feel worse, and I have taken a few, I've been told are officially called therapy breaks, where I'll just take like a couple of weeks off and then get back to it, because it can be quite sort of tiresome and tedious when you don't see sort of like instant results, and you don't really know how you've improved. But when I look back sort of like, you know, this time last month, I know that I'm better than I was this time last month, and I think that is down to sort of doing the exercises and increasing my tolerance. So say that it might be worth sort of looking into again, and also just to have the reassurance from my physiotherapist that the things I find hard are hard for someone with my condition, and also to sort of, you know, give me the nudge up the bum and to sort of and keep going. But I agree, it is frustrating, and it can just sort of, it can feel awful.
Anna, thank you.
I think also that they don't understand the symptoms anyway and how bad they are. So they don't really understand how, for it to get worse, it gets to a point where it's intolerable. You know, feels endless somehow.
Janet, I just want to go to Mary, because she's had her hand up for a while, and Debbie. I see your hand up as well. Mary, and then Debbie, please.
Right, I'll correct you. It's Ella. It's all right. The name on my.
Okay. My apologies, Ella. I'm gonna. Yeah.
That's all right. I was going to say the person who was talking about doing exercises and that eventually they did get better. I would say having a definite program does help. In other words, sticking to that program. And I'm now doing more a program for my vestibular, for my balance, but I'm also doing a program that slots in for my visual. And I think if you have a program, that does help. I mean, I think our condition is so mixed. You can have good days and bad days. And you know, and also I think if you're in a stressful situation, you can really go haywire. So I was going to say our condition is not a stable one. It's a one that goes all over the place. And sometimes you wonder, well, am I getting better or not? So I would say to those people who have had mixed responses, that is normal.
Okay. Ella, thank you. Debbie?
Yes, carry on.
Debbie?
Yes, I was going to say to Janet as well, I had the exercises and they were horrific. And I was told to stop. And then they tried to get me to do the exercises on a computer, which was even worse. And then what I found, I did see someone, a neurochiropractor, and I've learned to just do things very, very slowly. The only one that actually seems to help is the finger looking at my index finger going in and out, and then side to side very slowly, and literally just holding my eyelids, pressure on those, which seem to actually just stop my eyes from flickering. So yes, I do sympathise, Janet. What I would say is just do maybe find ones that you actually help to calm things down, and take it very, very slowly.
All right, thank you, Debbie. Simon. I think Simon, is your hand up for this to answer this question?
Yeah, and maybe a comment rather than answer is.
Yeah, sure. I meant comment.
So I've I'm kind of 3 years into this, and started off with a Menieres diagnosis. Maybe once it was diagnosed, and later with vestibular migraines, and it was really useful some while ago hearing from Amy on another call, and she's maybe you've got Amy, you've got something a bit more serious than I've got, but I could relate to a lot of what you said, and the distinction was between Menieres experience and the vestibular migraine experience, thinking that, you know, sometimes things were some like hearing was affecting things, perhaps, and balance and sickness, and other times there was some, you know, it was more visual, something visual was causing the you know, some bad experience. And I kind of wondered with Janet, you know, whether, I know that you said that you don't have any visual, it doesn't seem to be impacted by anything visual, but I just wonder if there's anything sound wise, you know, because I certainly, whenever I'm going through some bad period, I use migraine glasses from the visual side, and I use earphones and whatever I can do to kind of block the sound out for the ears. And I feel like I wouldn't survive if I didn't have both of those accessories.
All right, Simon, thank you. Nicola, is your hand up for this? Yeah, did you want to comment?
Hello, yeah.
Great.
I also have PPPD. I've had episodes of BPPV, VM, and I'm also just wondering myself about the maladaptive as well sometimes. But anyway, regarding the exercises, I find if it's BPPV, it's a spinning sensation, and if it's PPPD, it's a dizziness sensation. So I found that different exercises, if it was more spinning, then not to do the PPPD exercises, because that would aggravate it and make it worse. So the PPPV, I would lay on the bed and look at an angle looking up at the ceiling, because that was about moving the crystals back into the ear. As with PPPD, the exercises are more where you're looking at points, shaking your head around. So that's what I'd found when working with Andrew Clements. I definitely highlighted that, because I was getting a bit mixed up with exercises. So I was, like I said, aggravating it a bit more, because if it was more PPPD, then not to be doing the other exercises, and just trying to be aware of, when I was having different episodes, what was best to be doing to help it. I don't know if that's of any help.
I think that's a great help, actually, because that could be the problem I've been having.
Yeah, you've got to distinguish between dizziness and spinning. Spinning, don't do the PPPD exercises, because you're shaking your head, and if you're spinning, you're making it worse. Where if you're spinning, you need to be laying on the bed and looking up at the 90-degree angle, because you're putting the crystals back in, and then you turn on the other side. So because if you don't, I found it was obviously aggravating the situation and making it worse.
Because I've been given quite a lot of exercises. I've not really been told which is which at all.
Yeah.
Janet, I feel like I must ask Michaela Burton for a bit of advice on this, because Michaela, this is what you do, and you've heard lots and lots of different comments, lots of different methods that people are trying. You know, Janet saying she hasn't been doing the exercises because they made her feel worse. She's got 2 different types of conditions. We've heard advice from people like Nicola, who's saying, you know, different things, different exercises for different conditions. Help.
Nicola's absolutely bang on. The difficulty with balance problems is often that there's not just the one thing that's going on. But we like to try and put everything in one box. Because if it's all in one box, we just have to do one thing and that's going to solve everything. And it doesn't, because it's not just one thing. And each thing has to be treated in its own way, in its own time. So the difficulty with something like BPPV alongside a vestibular weakness of whatever other kind, if we're doing exercises for the vestibular weakness and the BPPV kicks off, then we've not got a stable imbalance to be working from. So you will feel really, really bad, which means that we need to sort out the BPPV before we can then carry on working with the exercises for the vestibular weakness. So it is very much being able to take that bit of a step back from yourself to be able to look at what is it that has just brought that dizziness on? What kind of dizziness is it? Because again, dizzy is a very, very broad word that tells us something without telling us anything whatsoever. it's a very, very different feeling having the dizziness when you lie down, turn over in bed, and the world goes absolutely spinning around you for 20 seconds and then seems to settle, and then you move again and it has a swish again, versus you being up and around watching TV and thinking, oh, this all feels really weird. It's a very different feeling. But by pinning it just on dizziness, that kind of makes you think it's one thing, and it's not. So being able to just take a bit of a step back and trying to look at it in a slightly more analytical way can really help define what's actually going on and therefore what you need to do about it.
I hope
But
that helps.
there's so much I would like to ask.
Yeah, and we've got lots of questions to get through. Janet, I really do hope that has helped.
Yes, it has, definitely.
Thank you.
Rupal, just a quick, I know we've got a moment, just for on the Menieres side, because these issues are so complex with all these different routes into a balance problem. If I just say with my 17 years of Menieres, when I had an attack, forget doing any rehab immediately after. It was like a hand grenade's gone off in my head, and all I would do is cause myself so much pain and agony trying to do any rehab. Days later, it's almost as though my brain needed to retrain how to balance again, and that's where the rehab exercises did make a difference. And I can guarantee from my experience, you didn't get better by sitting still and lying down all day. You had to get up, move back. But it's just an example. That's Menieres, which is episodal. And even with that condition, there are times when rehab is brilliant. There are times when it would just be torture and punishment. But I just mentioned that for Menieres, and when people watch this video, as Michaela will know, there's just nothing is easy about balance. But you've got to keep trying and keep trying different things. Sorry,
cheers, Kevin. Cheers, Kevin. I'm just conscious we've only got through 3 questions so far, and we've got like loads. So this is something that we can definitely do again if we don't get through all the questions. Alison had a question. I wonder if Alison is on, and do you want to ask your own question, or do you want me to do it? Alison, are you here? And did you want to ask your own question? Alison? No, Alison? No? Okay, I'll ask the question from Alison then. She says she was diagnosed with total bilateral vestibular failure and oscillopsia in 2020. As yet, she's unable to go out independently, work or drive. She is trying to adapt to using 2 sticks, as a last resort, a walker under the guidance of her physio. Can anybody give her advice on improving her mobility? This question is part 1 of her question, and part 2 of her question is about being denied PIP, that's personal independence payment. Again, anybody got any advice on her application under mandatory reconsideration at the moment? Anybody got any ideas as far as mobility is concerned and applying for PIP? Is that Amy? Is your hand up for this?
Yeah, my vertigo is pretty bad. I've successfully got PIP for it, as well as New Style ESA, because I'm pretty much housebound and I can't really do much in the way of walking around. So, but if you want, I'm happy to go through the points I got PIP for, or through email or something, to give you a hand with that. If Kevin can put us in touch afterwards, or we could do it through Skype or something. I'm happy to go through my applications for that. I've just had mine renewed for 3 years without having to have an assessment, and they just did it off my doctor's notes. So, yeah, wow. I'm happy to help with that.
That's fantastic. Nicola?
Regarding the PIP, if it's a mandatory reconsideration, obviously you're requesting them to look at the claim again, and if you can gather more evidence from the professionals that you're working with, your physios, your consultants, and submit that information as extra information, and also look at contacting Citizens Advice Bureau, see if there's any workers that can support you with that mandatory reconsideration, because if that fails, then it'll go to an appeal stage. So just seeing if not CAB, then know of any local organisations that can support with mandatory recons or appeals in that area. But it's all about gathering strong evidence as much as you can from professionals, which will also help.
Thank you, Nicola. I think, Kevin, you and I, we've talked about trying to get somebody on in the past to give us a bit more advice on in terms of applying for benefits and applying for personal independence payment, particularly because it is a really difficult process when it's another invisible condition, and it's really difficult to prove that you can't function in the same way as other people, and you do need that help, Kevin.
Absolutely. And the other thing I'm sure most people find, I think the system's designed not to give you benefit. And this is where I think support group could be really useful by pooling that knowledge and information. I keep threatening to do it. It's apologies from my side, Tom. I really want to put a page on our website that is kind of not an expert's view, but call upon, such as Amy, with experience, where what we can legally put up there without getting sued by the Department of Non-Paying Benefits, and just try and help people, because it's a minefield, and people are just looking not to allow you. So, if we don't do something about it, no one else will.
Yeah.
So that's going to come soon. We'll try and get an expert on to help. We'll try and put something on the website. And I've made a note of everyone who's volunteering. Not only have I got this on video, but I'm writing your names down as well. So
I think Amy might be our next guest on PIP. The next series will be solely on PIP. No, Richard, go for it.
Yeah, a friend, I'm guessing he's not on this meeting, but he's part of the group. He's had total balance failure. And to add to options for mobility, he's found soft shoes. He's found a source of very soft-soled shoes, so he can really feel the ground. So those have been really helpful to him. He needs sticks. When we had meetings at LSD, he would come in a wheelchair, but when he's able to walk, these soft shoes, and I can find out the detail and pass that on. So he's in that situation of complete balance loss, having these soft shoes and feeling the surface have been really helpful. In terms of PIP, to echo what we've just heard about getting the expert opinion, Trina also says, express your application on your worst day. Don't describe your situation on the day you might be filling the forms in. Judge it all against the day when it's really bad, even if that's not when you're writing it.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention Ali, who just wanted to say thank you for the meeting. She's had to leave now, but really appreciate the kind comments, Ali. And Amy has actually put a link as well to some great benefits advice on the chat, as well as lots of other people putting stuff on there, so please do use that, and please save the chat at the end, so you don't lose that information. I want to carry on and see if is Jean in the meeting today, and does Jean want to ask the question directly? Do we have Jean?
I'm here.
Jean? Hi, Jean. Do you want to ask your question?
Yes, okay, thanks very much. It's a very interesting meeting, and it's great to hear everybody's advice and recommendations. Just to put you in the picture, June of this year, I was diagnosed with PPPD, and at the time it was great just to finally get a diagnosis. So straight away I was put on a physiotherapy program, and it was just amazing. Within 24 hours, the physiotherapy program just improved my lifestyle completely. And I just had a new lease of life, and I thought, great, this is fantastic. So I continued doing the physio work for about nearly 3 months. And then just suddenly the body's just come to a standstill again, and it's not responding to the physio work anymore. Now, it's interesting to hear this morning about people's comments about physio work, but I don't know what's happening to my body now. And I have liaised with my consultant and the physio guy, and I'm explaining to them, my body feels as though the core of the body, from the head to the tail, is just gone completely rigid. And all my calves and thighs go so tight. It's unbelievable. So you think, okay, yes, better take it easy. And people are saying, are you overdoing it? And I'm quite an active person. I don't like to give in to this balance issue. So I do take it easy for a couple of days. But it's so much of a hit and miss at the moment. So I've spoken to Professor Ray again, and he has prescribed a medication for me, nortriptyline. Now, I'm not the depressive type because my glass is always half full, but the nortriptyline, I appreciate, is part of that family. And I've tried only twice now these tablets, but they just give me a horrendous headaches. So I'm just interested to hear other people's feedback, if they've been suffering from triple PD and what works for them. I mean, I'm sitting here now and the pressure in my head is amazing. And I've tried acupuncture a couple of times on the neck and the head, and it's like a pressure valve. It's released immediately. But within 4 or 5 hours, that pressure's back there again. Now, I can actually walk in a supermarket now and feel okay, but it's just the internal part of my body it just shuts down. So I don't know if anybody's got any advice. I mean, I think sometimes.
All right,
Yeah.
let's ask that question then.
Okay, thank you.
Amy?
I don't have a diagnosis of triple PD, although it has been questioned because I'm pretty complex. But I do have similar issues. Like I get the pressure feeling in my head. That comes from vestibular migraine, and I'm on nortriptyline. It's a migraine medication. On a lower dose, it's for migraine. On a higher dose, it's for anxiety and depression. I'm on a lower dose, and it's been really helpful actually for my vestibular migraine. So if you can. It's really helped. It's because I have like constant dizziness, and I have to rate it out of 10. I used to constantly be around a kind of 7 out of 10 for the constant dizziness, not spinning vertigo, but that sort of disorientedness. And the nortriptyline's brought it down to a sort of 4 out of 10. So it's made a big difference for me. But
how long did you have to wait for the nortriptyline to actually probably kick in? I know it says in the instructions perhaps allow 3 weeks.
I think it was something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But because I started off on amitriptyline, which helped, but not as much, but it gave me lots of side effects. So then I moved to nortriptyline.
Yes.
I don't think it took as long as 3 weeks actually, but I was already on amitriptyline, which is another form. Nortriptyline is a form of amitriptyline.
That's
just
right, it's the same
tolerated.
family.
So I'd already been taking that, so I don't think you can judge from that. But with the pressure in my head, the thing I found that helps for that is this thing. It's a TENS machine specifically for your head for migraine. You're not normally allowed to put TENS machines on your head, but this is designed for it. But it's called Calm, spelled QALM. The company's Pain Gone. There's a I can't remember what it's called. There's a big one in America that costs like £300, but this was, I can't remember how much it was. I think it was about £100. But if it doesn't work, you can. I think they have a 60-day guarantee. If it doesn't work, you can send it back and get your money back. But double check that before you buy it. Yeah. But I tried it, but because I get vestibular migraine. I mean, I don't get pain. I get that pressure almost pain, and I get sound sensitivity pain, but I don't get typical migraine pain. But this has been really good for taking that pressure down. You can use it. You can use it every day. For some reason, it's got 2 settings. There's the acute setting, which you can put it on for an hour, which you're supposed to do mid-migraine. For some reason, that gave me worse vertigo. But the preventative program is 15 minutes a day, I think. And if I do that, and I do it every day, it really makes a big difference to that pressure I don't know if it will for you because you're not diagnosed with migraine, but I do get that feeling, and this has been good for that. So.
All right, Amy, thank you.
Oh, I might
Thank
try
you so
that.
much.
Thank you.
I just want to get through some other people, and I know we've got a couple of more questions, and people are kind of starting to want to leave the meeting because things to do. Should we go with? Is it Samantha?
No, it's Samathi actually, but
Samathi, my apologies.
Even. I don't know how to change it, so it's all gone wrong like that. I haven't really got an answer, more a personal experience that's not dissimilar. As I understand it, PPPD is a secondary condition that's driven by something else. And in my own situation, seems to be that the vestibular physiotherapy works really quite well, but then suddenly whatever's still driving it originally, the primary condition, then kicks me back again. So it's like a continual oscillation. And I don't know if that relates to, sorry, whoever it was asking the questions, situation, if the primary condition is actually still there driving it. That was just my own experience in that respect.
Thank you. Thank you. Catherine.
Yes, I just saw the neuro-otologist a couple weeks ago. I won't see him for another 6 months. He put this device in my Amazon cart. It's by Omron, and you can put, it has these little pads that you stick on the body. I put them on my shoulders, and it has many different settings for your tolerance. It's like a stimulator. And so what it does is relaxes these muscles, and it does definitely take all of that away. So the next morning when I got up, I was so happy that I didn't have all that pressure in my head and all the tension in my neck and shoulders. So I just wanted to share about that.
Just repeat what it was again, Catherine.
It's OMRON. It was $69 here on Amazon, and it has these pads, 2 stim pads that you can put anywhere on the body. It has all these different things, but I use it on the shoulders because when I get this tremendous pressure in my head, it causes all my muscles in my shoulders and my neck to pull and get swollen so bad. And this has really given me total relief.
Brilliant. Catherine, thank you. Nadine?
Hello, sorry, just working my way through Zoom. I've never used it before. It was a question for Amy, please, because my condition seems quite similar to yours. Loss of balance and extreme pressure. It's just daily head pressure. It never leaves. I mean, even when I've got good days, the pressure is there, but low level. At the moment, it feels like my head is a pressure cooker, and I just need to, you know, that little valve that you want to get the steam out, and it just goes shh. So I tried amitriptyline, and I found it horrendous. I was like, I can't even explain it. I was like in a cloud trying to get out. I was talking rubbish. I couldn't drive, so I just came off of it.
Yeah.
Is that what other people feel like on amitriptyline? Is the nortriptyline, you know, more tolerated? Tolerable, yeah.
All right, to answer that.
Yeah, go for it, Amy.
Yeah, the amitriptyline gave me lots of side effects as well. From what I understand, amitriptyline turns into something else inside your body, and that's what the nortriptyline is. So it's like a secondary version. So I think it's not quite as strong, but it's more easily tolerated. That's what my GP told me anyway. But I said I had all sorts of side effects on amitriptyline. I didn't get. Well, I already have brain fog, so I don't know if it made that any worse or not. But I just, it made my tinnitus really bad. I had new types of tinnitus that I hadn't usually got. I had all sorts of other strange side effects, and made my nausea worse and headache and this and that, and really dry mouth as well. Nortriptyline, I get a bit of dry mouth. It's like, as long as I just have a sip of water in the morning and it's okay. That seems to be the only side effects that I've had from the nortriptyline. So if you can try it, then I'd I'd recommend it. It really has made a massive difference for me, because I was so constantly so dizzy all the time before, and when the dizziness is coming from the vestibular migraine side, the head pressure kicks in. I don't have that all the time. Depends whether the Menieres or the migraine is pulling on me more that day. Yeah, that really did reduce. It also reduced because I feel sick pretty much constantly as well, but it really reduced the nausea.
Thank you, Amy. Thank
so
you for
yeah,
that.
I'd recommend trying it if you can get it.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Jean, I hope that's kind of, and there's lots of stuff on, people are putting in chat on the chat box as well. And please, this is a great time, I think, Kevin, before we move on to the next question, and to remind people about member-to-member support.
Yeah, just before I go into that, I just mentioned about pressure. It brought back horrible memories. Menieres again. I used to want to bash my head against a wall. The pressure inside would just come out of nowhere. And no one can understand unless you go through it. When you've got pressure building in your head, you can't think about anything else. You can't take your mind off it. You can't go and read a book, watch a movie. And it was horrendous. Now, for me, the solution was a grommet through the eardrum. And again, I can only talk from my experience. The day that grommet went in, I never had pressure problems ever again. I now have a permanent, I think they call it a T-tube grommet. The only downside is you've got to give up scuba diving and watch. Yeah, honestly, I would have given up a lot more than scuba diving to get rid of that pressure. I have no idea if that applies to other balance conditions. So remember, we're not medical, we're not qualified, but I can tell you that used to be agony, the head pressure, and grommet for Menieres sufferers definitely worked for me. Now back to the original thing Ruth asked about, member-to-member network, especially for the new guys. Go on our website, lifeonthelevel.org. There is a section about it. Essentially, what we try and ask every member to consider doing, opt in to this group. We will then share your email and or phone number with all the other members who are opted in. You can then, after this meeting, go and contact any of those on the list. Try not to make them just people with your condition. We do on the list. We give you a Christian name, a very brief few words summary of diagnosis if you've got one, what area of the world you live in, but not your address. And then we just encourage you, go and reach out and do like we're doing today. You'll make the most amazing friendships, and you'll find almost soul mates that are living your life. And if it was anything like my experience, I never met anyone who was living my life. I was very much on my own, partly my fault. I was in denial, the usual man thing. Illness wasn't going to define me, but all I'm telling, the feedback on our member-to-member group is excellent, and you've got nothing to lose. Yeah. And we only share your details with other people that are opted in.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rupal.
And I'm just aware that people have got lots to say, and we just haven't got the time. We'll do these regularly, I think, Kevin. It just goes to prove that these are just amazing. There's an anonymous one, and I think this is a really interesting question. So I want, thoughts on this. What has been the most helpful thing that you've done yourself for your own benefit, and what has been the most helpful thing that someone else has done for you? Okay, so what have you done for yourself for your own benefit, and the most helpful thing someone else has done for you? Hands up, hands up. Please share some positive stories.
They can be one-word answers.
Yeah, Mary, go for it, Mary.
Yeah, Ella.
Oh, sorry, Ella. My apologies.
Yeah. I found I had quite a long sort of discussion with Toby Elmer, who's doing a special thesis on PPPD, and I found that conversation with him very useful, because he kept saying, oh yes, you know, that's common with your condition. Do you know what I mean? The fact that he was telling me about things that, you know, he had discussed with other people, and I felt, well, I'm not alone. And I found that really helpful.
Brilliant, Mary. Thank you for that. Rakesh, go for it.
Very, very quickly. Two things really. Very helpful was, you know, physical exercise. You know, if and where possible. You know, running, walking, whatever. I think that really does make a difference, because like lots of people, these things are constantly on your mind, aren't they? Because you're living it all the time. So that's one. And the second one was, without embarrassing Michaela, I think every time I've spoken to Michaela, I've always felt much better. And I think, you know, a big thank you to Michaela for all the work that she does, particularly for me, because it's made a big difference. Thank you.
Brilliant answer, and I'm sure she'll pay you later. Now, Ronan, go for it. Ronan.
The best thing I've done for me is coming on this holiday to Spain. I never thought I'd even be able to negotiate an airport again. And that's wonderful. The other thing is, in my medical center, just to thank the two young doctors, one who referred me to a neurologist and one who referred me to physio. I have to say the older doctors hadn't a clue. That's all I have to say.
Brilliant, thank you. Hands up, anybody else that I'm missing that I can't see? Maria, hi Maria.
Hi there. I'm really quick. Yeah, breathing exercises, relaxation exercises, because I think we all develop poor posture, and the poor posture can create pressure in itself. So definitely breathing exercises and relaxation.
Fantastic. Are you an expert by any chance? Is it something you do professionally, or no?
No, it's just literally something they've been recommended to me by friends. Nothing to do with, not the dizzy friends, just people who I've moaned to over the months, etc. And you know,
maybe we could get you to lead a session one of these days. You never know, right? Maria, thank you for that. Who else have we got with something positive that you've done for yourself and for others? Richard.
This again is for Trina, but she said in recent times she has enjoyed the Tai Chi for dizzy people.
Dizzy ears.
For dizzy ears. She's joined a few of those sessions. And just to echo what's already been said, Michaela back in 2011 was the first person who made Trina think she wasn't going completely mad. So, and is still absolute a star for us ever since. So thanks again to Michaela. And happy to be paid for that, but that wasn't the idea.
Brilliant. Debbie.
I actually took up knitting, and I tell you, I can honestly say at the beginning when this started, that was probably a lifesaver for me, because I could focus on doing something creative with my hands. Yeah. Absolutely loved it, and met a great group of people who were thoroughly understanding.
Fantastic. I'm going to pick on one or two, very briefly, pick on one or two people that we haven't heard from, if that's all right. And if you vehemently disagree with that, then I'm sorry, but I'm going to do it anyway. Who haven't we heard from? Alison. Hi, Alison. What have you done that has been positive for yourself and for someone else? No, no. Okay. Tracy. What about you, Tracy? Tracy is going to pretend she can't hear me. Can you hear me, Tracy? No? Okay, Tracy's not going to... What about Fiona? Hello, Fiona. You're not going to be shy, are you? Chris, will you talk to me? Chris, talk to me. Unmute yourself.
Nobody wants
to. No, nobody. What about Sue? Sue, go for it. Don't let me down, Sue. Go on, unmute that button. How go? Oh, there we go.
I took up Pilates. I also talked to Michaela, and I knit while I'm on Zoom.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's fantastic.
I found Pilates. Once I can get to the place, I found Pilates by Zoom a lot less stressful than actually having to do it in person.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sue. Thank you for being brave enough.
Okay.
What about John and Gwen? What have you guys done that's been positive for yourself that's been beneficial to you, that you've done for yourselves, and something that someone else has done for you?
Well, I've realised that the complexity of the human balance system is possibly greater than we realise even now. And I liken it to my experience with a sat-nav. A thunderstorm was in the area and distorting the signals from space. And it placed us on the southbound carriageway when in fact we were travelling north. It went into panic mode. When ultimately the symbol for the car showed that we were in farmers' fields even further over, it really went wild trying to direct us, turn left, turn right, do this, do that. But I found that in the human case, it's confidence. We need at least 3 satellites for a sat-nav. We need the extra input giving us confidence when something fades. As we age or have an accident, then this awareness is reduced and we need that extra thing. Kevin admitted one time, like me, if I'm rinsing my face in the morning, closing the eyes, I swing forward and headbutt the wall because I've suddenly lost my position in relation to the wash basin. But if the tap is dripping, just a steady, gentle drip, not a trickle, but a drip, then I locate and I don't headbutt the wall. And it's like that in other cases. A clock with a 1 second tick is calming. It settles me. But if it's a rapid tick, no, that's very unsettling.
Brilliant.
Influences like that are powerful.
Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing those. We are going to move on with the next question, and it comes from Fran. Hi, Fran. Are you here? Yes, you are. Of course you are, Fran.
Yes, I'm still here. Okay, so my question, someone mentioned part of it earlier, but has anyone tried any alternative therapies like acupuncture, and has it worked for them? Because I've tried all sorts of medication, but I want to see if there's anything else out there that might help for vertigo.
Great question.
Thanks.
Who can I see? Can I see anyone's hands up? I can't. Can I see? Yes, Jean. Hi, Jean.
Yes, well, yes, I mentioned that I have tried acupuncture and it was successful initially, but then the following day or later in the week, you're going about doing your daily chores and just gradually, well, my body's reacting and gradually getting tense again. And, you know, because I don't.
Oh, I think, Jean, you've muted yourself accidentally halfway through that. Hopefully, I think the headphones might have come out of the socket. So I think she's just trying to sort that. Have a think as well. Whilst Jean does that, if there's anyone else with
Here, I'm here now. Can you hear me?
Go for it. Yeah, go.
Yeah. So yeah, the acupuncture was really good initially, but then I found, you know, later in the week you're getting on with your daily chores, and all the symptoms develop. The pressure all builds up again. But it might be different for yourself. But giving acupuncture, it does sort of like highlight that you can deflate all that pressure and you feel good. And I think it's then just, I don't know, finding your way. But I would definitely give it a go.
Right, thank you for that.
Okay.
Jean, anyone else? Any other alternative therapies that people have tried?
Amy's there.
Amy, yeah, go for it, Amy.
I've tried acupuncture and it didn't help me. I'm not sure if this counts as an alternative therapy, but therapy. I did acceptance and commitment therapy, and that's made quite a big difference for me. There's a good book on ACT. I'll put it in the chat if I can remember what it's called. But that was quite good in kind of reducing the sort of frustration, you know, anger, anxiety, that side of it, and then having a knock-on effect on the dizziness and vertigo, because I was feeling kind of calmer and more accepting of my life, what it is right now, instead of constantly trying to be better and constantly wishing I was better. So that kind of had a knock-on effect. And it's not with the vertigo, but when I wasn't as bad as this, I used to have a monthly massage, and that used to help with tinnitus, and the sort of Menieres side of things, because it just helped with the, with neck muscles, and that did seem to have an impact for me when I wasn't as bad.
Thank you, Amy. Catherine.
Yes, the same thing for me. I find that a monthly massage is wonderful, and I've also done Reiki, and that's also been very, very helpful.
Okay, thank you. Richard? Or is that from earlier? Is your hand still up from earlier, Richard? Not sure. Just checking.
Yeah, that was earlier, sorry.
Okay, no worries. Anybody else with alternatives? Debbie. Hi, Debbie. Again.
Yep, sorry, me again. I've found, apart from having a good cry, these Ross Bar, I don't know if you can see them, healing patches, and he's apparently a well-known acupuncturist, but I found they do actually help, because I think, like others have said, your body gets very, very tense. I put these on my shoulders, or around my neck, and I find they really do help. Just relax. So they're Ross Bar healing patches.
Brilliant. And what are they? Are they just? Are they?
Yes, it's actually a patch. They get very warm. They're apparently full of herbs.
Okay.
Things, and they just help relax the muscles.
Thank you for that, Debbie. Appreciate that. Fran, I hope that's kind of helped with some suggestions. Right, we've got a couple of more questions that I think we need to get in, Kevin, if possible.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Question from Geraldine. Is Geraldine here?
She asked if you could read that out, RuPaul, please.
All right. I have triple PD and vestibular migraine. She says my GP has suggested I try prochlorperazine, I hope I've said that right, to dampen the dizziness. Another practitioner has suggested I try another medication called, is it mirtazapine? Apologies with pronunciation, for anxiety and dizziness. Has anyone with triple PD or VM tried either? And if so, what were the negative or positive results of any side effects? So we're talking about prochlorperazine and the other one that I can't pronounce very well. I apologise. Any positives, negatives? From these? Is that Fran? Is that... Yeah, go for it, Fran.
So I have Menieres and not the other two, but I take prochlorperazine when I have an attack. I found that taking it really helps initially, but I get very, very drowsy. So if I have an attack, I'm a school teacher, so if I have an attack at school, I take one, wait half an hour, and I can drive home, and then I can't drive after that. And if I take it I ended up taking it for 2 weeks a few weeks ago, and I was so drowsy, I couldn't really do much. But it does help in the short term, but not the long term.
Okay. Which one was that again? Sorry, Francis.
That was prochlorperazine.
Okay. Thank you for that. Anybody else with any experience of either good or bad of the two medications that I've mentioned? Anyone else's hand up? Can't see anyone. I apologise. Nicola?
The prochlorperazine, is that the like the anti-sickness, the anti-dizzy medication? Yeah. I was prescribed that by my GP prior to seeing Professor Ray, and when I saw Professor Ray, he took me straight off that because I've got triple PD and BP, and he said that that puts part of the brain to sleep. Well, for my condition, it puts part of the brain to sleep, which obviously is just a short-term effect. And so with the triple PD, it was more about the vestibular exercises because I needed to retrain the brain and get all the neurons reacting again. So he advised that I stopped taking that and didn't take it again. But like I said, that was just specific to me with my condition with triple PD, and I did have PPPD at the time and vestibular migraines. So I don't use it However, when I travel, I do take a bit of it when I travel, because I find it does send me to sleep and it does help with not causing the sickness. But I think that's just how it works for me.
Brilliant, thank you. Sandy, can you hear me? Can you unmute yourself if this is a response to this question? No?
No.
No. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. I really don't know if I have vestibular neuritis, and I'm not really sure if the doctor, my specialist, put me on propranolol, and I've been taking it for quite a while, but I never had the spinning of anywhere, anything. I have what I was told is a dizzy brain, and it's all in my brain that is spinning, but I don't see it, I don't feel it. But like I said, I don't know if it's the propranolol, but I no longer have that dizzy brain. I still have the foggy brain and the I feel kind of out of it sometimes, and I have the what's the other one called? I can't think of it now. I'm having a senior moment, but like I said, the dizzy brain like disappeared, and I'm like, okay, as long as you stay gone, I'm a happy person. But it might have worked for me. I'm taking 140 milligram twice a day, morning and night. But like I said, if that was the miracle drug, then hey, works for me.
All right, Sandy, thank you for that. I'm not sure if it's the same medication. I don't know if they're different sort of, no.
It's Inderel.
Okay, so I think that's a different medication from the one that Geraldine was asking about. But thank you for sharing that, Sandy. Much appreciated. Okay, thank you so much still for sharing that. I think we've got one last question, if we don't mind. Naomi, are you still with us, Naomi?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Hi, Naomi. You had a question about auras.
Yeah, I don't know what other people's auras are like, so I'm confused whether I'm having an aura or if I'm actually having a partial focal seizure. Because what's happening is so it happens when I'm outside, it could be inside. So this week it happened outside in boots, but I can't move or talk, and often I'm staring at one space or looking up in a corner, staring at one space. This can be for a minute, this can be for 20 minutes, and obviously I'm always ill prior to it. Whether that's I walk really, really, really slowly because I'm unable to walk well, and that could be for 2 days before or whatever. Or it could just, I had a blood test, and I think that's what brought it on this week. And then I went to get paracetamol because I had pain. And then I just had just a minute in the shop. But I just can't move or talk or anything. So I don't know if it's, because I'm still working out what my diagnosis is. I don't know if they've said it as probable vestibular migraines, but I don't know because I got sick, but it was also after a flight. And I hadn't sorted out my ears usually because I fell asleep and I'd been drinking prior to the flight. So there was a whole multitude of things that made it worse. So, and there's also a chance I might have been hit in the head or I've hit myself in the head. So yeah, I'm trying to work out, is that normal and that's an aura, or should I be looking into seeing a neurologist and pushing for something as well as the vestibular, because obviously I have the vestibular medicine team, the audiologist and everything else in place. Or if I should be still pushing for a neurologist to look into chances of me actually having some kind of seizure. So that's what I did. I just want to see if other people's auras, and because they keep telling me it is that.
So are they saying that it's an aura migraine?
That they're just saying, oh, that's just part of the auras. Okay, but I don't know if that is for people. So I don't know. I've been looking up and I can't find any information.
Okay. Anyone with any thoughts on that? Amy, is your hand up for this? Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was just gonna say I've not heard of that before. My aura is a kind of black and white stripes that's like sort of shimmer in my peripheral vision. So mine's visual. My partner doesn't have vestibular migraines, but he has migraines. His aura is he smells pears just before a migraine hits him. But I've never heard of an aura like that before. That sounds, I've worked with people with epilepsy before. I have some friends with it. It sounds more like, there's partial seizure to me. So if I were you, I'd try and get at least checked out by a neurologist.
Okay, so there's a chance that I might have just both things running alongside each other.
I have about 4 medical conditions running alongside each other. So
I just don't want
sometimes you're just unlucky.
Yeah. I just don't want them just to say, oh, it's vestibular, and I'm going around having all these seizures over and over again, like once a week, thinking, oh, this is part of an aura, but actually I'm having seizures.
I'd get it checked out if I were you.
I want to bring in Michaela because I can see her frantically wanting to say something. Michaela, please do. Go for it.
I'll mute myself then. That kind of losing yourself in one spot for a period of time would make me say, please do go and get a neurology opinion as well.
Okay, because I did go to neurologist years ago, like 10 years ago, whatever. They literally, I was in there and out there within 2 minutes. They would touch my legs and everything else, and then they were kind of like, okay, you're fine, get out. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But that wasn't at this stage. I was just doing some weird, I think that was PTSD. So.
Yeah. Things can change.
Yeah.
And as Amy said, you can have more than one thing happening at the same time and can get kind of intermingled. What I would probably suggest is sit down and write down clearly for yourself the kind of bullet points of what symptoms it is that you're experiencing, how long they last for, what other symptoms they coincide with, and any other information that you can put in that.
Yeah.
And go with that, all that information there.
I've got my migraine app, and so I put down, it has you have to put down all your triggers and what medication every time you have an attack. So I've been using that, so I'll just pass all that information over to them. Okay, so it's not normal, so no one else is really having, so not being able to walk or just not being able to move for a period of time, like actually lift your arms or talk or anything, or just moving very slowly and stuff, isn't part of a migraine.
It can be.
Okay.
But it is one of those circumstances where I would get both sides checked.
Okay. Okay, because I've had the MRI, but that was to check for the pulsating tinnitus, not to check further. But they're probably going to send me, I assume, for some. The neurologist will send me for an MRI for separate.
It's better off to ask both specialities.
Yeah.
And so get more than you kind of asking for, rather than just go for right, I'll just go for one and just hope that they know everything about all of it.
Yeah.
It's better to sort of overdo it than underdo it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. No, but I'll definitely push, because I was kind of just listening and saying, yeah, that's fine. And I thought I'd ask a question, and then 15 people would be like, yeah, I get that. But the fact that one person has said it is highlighting to me that, okay, there's more than one thing going on. Okay, brilliant. Thank you, everybody.
You've got nothing to lose by asking.
Yeah, it's about pushing. It's not about asking. They don't listen.
Yeah, pushing,
yeah. Thank you so much.
Naomi, I mean, it happened to me the first time I had the vestibular stuff. I actually, at work, literally laying on the floor, couldn't talk, couldn't speak, couldn't move, and it happened to me once. But I never got to the bottom of it.
But that did happen.
It did happen to me once.
So okay, it might just be mine, just on overdrive at the minute for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, brilliant.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Polly, you've got your hand up.
Polly may be going. I think she's got to. Oh no, she's on. Hi, Polly.
I've got to go soon. I've got a friend coming over in a bit, and well, I've got various things I've got to do, stuff like that. But I just wanted to let people know that I'm in remission from mouth department syndrome, which is pretty wonderful for me. And I wish I knew why some of us do get remission and other people don't from MDS. But I've also been diagnosed with vestibular migraine, and I still have some of that migraine fuzzy head feeling, but I'll take that over the kind of rocking and bobbing stuff that we get with MDS any day. So, you know, I've had this for a long time. I had a lot of remission early on, and then had longer and longer episodes, or, you know, various different types of episodes. Some were short and severe, some were longer but less severe. I did do physio to start with, and then was told that I shouldn't have done, which was frustrating because that seemed to make my second episode longer. But I think different things work for different people, but I think they do now know that it's not recommended for people with MDS in the early stages. But I take as much exercise as I can. And the question earlier on I really liked, and I'm sorry I didn't chip in then, about, you know, things that we've done for ourselves that have been beneficial and things that other people have done, is I've seen so many people with MDS who it has actually pretty much ruined their lives. But I've seen, and more now, I'm seeing people who are living their best lives around it. And that's what I'm trying to do. And that's what I think other people are trying to do, is to show that, so that I could say, I mean, I don't have it at the moment, but I could say I have MDS, but it does not have me. And feeling that way was incredibly powerful for me. It just made me think this isn't the only thing that defines my life at all. I've got lots of other things going on. Great family understanding, great support from my doctor. My neurologist is wonderful. Basically lets me write my own diagnosis. And, you know, so it feels like that there's a much wider community out there that are supporting people to just have as much fun as we can. It's good for the dopamine hits, all of that kind of thing. Strongly recommend the Life Rebalanced Chronicles. I know that Kevin's kindly put the link in, but I am going to need to go now. My fridge freezer is broken, so I've got to try and get some help with that. But yeah, I've got to do some other stuff here as well. So, yeah, but thank you very much indeed. It's been really fun. See you all again soon. Bye.
And what great news that she's in remission as well, which is fantastic, yeah, Polly. That's absolutely wonderful news. Yeah,
thank
absolutely.
You. Okay,
thank you
bye
so
all.
much. Thank you. Right. I think as far as the questions are concerned, Kevin,
yes,
it's 3 o'clock and we are going to leave it there.
I've got one last notice before we can all go off and do whatever. And Rupert, I've got to say, with Polly just adding to answer that, I thought it was a wonderful question. Most helpful thing I've ever done for myself with Menieres was been brave enough to go and get steroid injections through my eardrums, because boy, did that make a difference to my life. And then I've got to be really honest, and I hope this resonates with a lot of people out there. What was the most helpful thing that anyone has ever done for me? My wife telling me in year 1 she would still love me, even though I kept falling down.
Oh,
yeah.
Well done, Yola.
Support from family and friends is so important.
Yeah.
So, just before you rush off, next meeting, December the 11th, we've got an expert panel you do not want to miss, because they're all going to be wearing Christmas fancy dress, but it's going to be a great meeting. Before that meeting, we are going to be emailing all the members. We're going to be asking you for your nominations in certain categories for this year's Dizzies Awards. We do awards every year called the Dizzies, and it's about people who have done great things or have helped our community. So look out for those emails. It's probably going to be in November. That's it. What a great session. We're definitely going to do more of these, where you guys get to talk to each other. Don't forget Member to Member Network. I want to see you all on there talking to everyone. Yeah. That's it from me, Rupal. What a great programme. Thanks, Rupal, for all your hard work today. Everyone, just go and have the most amazing autumn, or fall, I think we call it in America. But just have a great time. Thanks for all taking part.
Before they go,
being part of the group.
Before you go,
Brilliant.
if you please, lots of lovely comments on the chat box, but also lots of really important links of things that people have been discussing this afternoon. Please save the chat. I think please save the chat. There are well, certainly on my laptop, if you open up the chat at the bottom, there are 3 dots. Well, hopefully there should be 3 dots. If you click on that, it will give you the option to save the chat.
Yeah, what I can do as well, Ruth, I did it last time. After the meeting, when we finally get the video done, an email goes out to all members to say the video's there. I've also discovered a way of linking to a PDF for the chat. So you'll be able to download that from the email sometime next week. But thanks everyone for taking part. It's been really good. Really, really great to see you all, and see you all in December.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.